Get the inside line on who's fast and who's last before setting your NASCAR fantasy race lineup this weekend. This is the Inside Line, presented by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your fantasy pros, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
Wow, we went from experts to pros. It's big.
Moving up in the world.
Welcome to the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show, presented by Hercules Tires, our second show of the year. And, well, we're in a brand new shiny studio, aren't we, Robbie?
Yeah, we are. Good.
You did a great job on this.
I didn't do anything.
We're going to Hotlanta this weekend. Excited about that?
Sure.
Are you going to talk at all today? Or?
Maybe. I'm a man of few words. I don't know what to tell you. Welcome back.
Yeah.
We made it back from Florida after 10 days down there. I almost thought I was going to have to register to vote.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that was good. That was good that we finally left.
It's fun speed weeks.
9 days. A great speed weeks. Austin Dillon wins the Daytona 500. Wow. How big is that? And Bubba Wallace finishes second.
Austin Dillon wins the Daytona 500 in the 3-car. I fangirled out, by the way, because everybody knows I was a big Earnhardt fan growing up. So to see the 3-car in victory lane at the Daytona 500 20 years after Dale Sr. won, that was pretty cool. And not to mention the fact that Tyler, the Camaro, not only got their first pole in the Cup Series, they got the first win in the Cup Series too. So that was fun. But I had to be a little fanboy there for a few minutes on Sunday night.
Are you done with your sponsor plug? Or
how'd you do? How's your team?
I got beat by Rango.
Yeah, I did
by
too.
2 points. Well, you're not that hard to beat. But you beat me by 2 points. I had a pretty good day for plate racing. I'm pretty bad at Daytona and Talladega.
I was gonna have a good day until that crash that took out Harvick and Brad Keselowski
and your whole team.
And my whole team. My whole team ended up in a piling.
I ended up actually finishing
sheet metal in turn 3.
I ended up actually finishing 4 drivers. Stenhouse did not finish.
Right.
But Brad Keselowski was, I moved him to my garage driver spot. I started with AJ Allmendinger on my garage driver and moved him over, and that was good because I knew he was going to.
Well, my garage driver was Chase Elliott, and he was caught up in the crash with Brad. So that did me no good whatsoever.
All right. Anyways, solid start to the year for fantasy.
It was fun.
We have 4,000 people in our Fantasy Live League now, which is just unbelievable.
Yes.
We have 3,700 people who did a lineup over the week.
Yes.
And we're going to announce something big soon, aren't we?
Big prize. Major award.
Major award.
Major award.
Fragile is coming to you.
Must be Italian.
Soon. We're going to figure it out this week, and we're going to probably tell you about it next week or maybe towards the end of the week.
We've been dropping some hints on Twitter at MRN Fantasy. So if you are not following us at MRN Fantasy, number 1, do that now. Number 2, thank you. And number 3, we've got some hints on there.
Yeah, so if you win our Fantasy League regular season champ after Indianapolis?
Yeah, race 26.
After race 26, you will, I'm just going to tell you, you're going to go somewhere. And it's going to be big. That's all I'm telling you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
Very big.
Take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to play, Sideswipe, Grind My Gears, a couple other games. Under the Rock later on, Winston Kelley in our third segment. That's all coming your way on the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you replace your worn wiper blades with a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get premium blades that ensure clear vision, plus earn double points on this purchase during O Rewards Bonus Points Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The Country 500 Music Festival is back at Daytona International Speedway.
How do you like me now?
With Toby Keith, Chris Stapleton, Dirks Bentley, Sugarland, Billy Currington, and so much more. Country 500 Memorial Day weekend, May 25th, 26th, and 27th. For tickets and information, visit country500.com. Sponsored in part by Budweiser.
Driver safety is the #1 priority in racing. It's also the #1 priority in trucking. The Detroit Assurance Suite of safety systems helps to protect drivers, their trucks, and other motorists by helping to mitigate the severity of collisions. Active brake assist, adaptive cruise control, and lane departure warning, all bringing a new level of safety and protection to the road. Don't just want better business solutions, demand them. Learn more at demanddetroit.com.
Yay or nay, go or stay. It's time for the inside line to sideswipe the competition. Here here's Robbie and Tyler.
All right, Robbie, how'd you do in Sideswipe last week?
Apparently, I did not do very good at Sideswipe, the inside line game. Still doing well at Sideswipe, the home game.
You swiped left on Austin Dillon last week, didn't you?
Because if I swipe right on Austin Dillon, you were going to call me a fanboy.
No, I already did call you a fanboy. Wasn't that the last segment? Wasn't it?
But last week you were going to call me fanboy if I swipe right on Austin Dillon.
Whatever.
I learned my
lesson.
All
right, Sideswipe. Let's go. Daryl, what's our first one?
Let's start with Chase Elliott.
I'll take it.
Nose goes.
Okay.
Nose goes.
All right, I'll take Chase Elliott. This is easy for me. I'm swiping right on. Is that the right way? Yeah, I'm swiping right on Chase Elliott. This is really easy. 8th and 5th and 2 starts at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. And even though he's crashed out at Daytona last week, and even though he wasn't one of the best cars there, I still feel like he's still one of those drivers on a mile-and-a-half racetrack that can do well. So I'm swiping yes on Chase Elliott this week, whichever way I need to go.
Going forward, Daytona doesn't really matter.
Nope.
At this point, until we get to Talladega.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you on Chase Elliott. 8th, 5th. I think the new Chevy Camaro is going to be good right out of the box.
Yes.
I got your sponsor plug in there for you. Chase Elliott's going to be a good pick. There's some other Chevys I like too as well. We'll probably talk about those soon. All right, our second pick, Daryl.
Let's go with Bubba Wallace.
Bubba Wallace. That's an interesting one. We're going to talk more about this with Winston in the next segment. And one thing is I'm going to tell you in the next segment is that Bubba Wallace really needs to be in the top 15 to top 20, in my opinion, to be successful. Now, finishing second at Daytona it's not a fluke, but I mean, it's just anybody can do it,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That's fair to say,
yeah.
Right? So I think they want to see speed early on. They finished 27th with Eric Almirola last year in Atlanta. I think for NASCAR.com, it could be good for allocation to start Bubba Wallace this weekend, but I would probably hold him off till some other tracks I know he's going to be good at. The Bristols, the Martinsvilles, the short tracks of the world. I'm going to swipe left on Bubba Wallace this week. I'm going to say no. Don't start him.
Okay. I would agree with that.
You do?
I think you swiped the wrong way, or I swiped the wrong way. Whatever. We'll
I
figure it out.
swiped left.
Whatever. We'll figure it out. Who's next?
Let's go with Brad Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski. Okay. So for me, I'm torn on this pick. He won this race last year. Last time we were on a mile-and-a-half racetrack at Homestead Miami Speedway, he was in the Final Four. Finished, top 10, I think, that night. I think they're going to be good. Would I use him for allocation purposes on NASCAR.com right now? No, but if there are still some leagues out there that you have to pick based on a salary cap. If you have him if you're in that league, then yeah, maybe pick him. But for NASCAR.com purposes, I'm swiping no on Brad this week.
Phoenix, Martinsville, Bristol. I'm trying to think of some other short tracks that they're going to be really good. He's going
to be good on plate tracks.
Watkins Glen, the plate tracks. You're going to get 10 out of Brad Keselowski. I'm probably not using him this week.
I'm going to save him.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think the Fords are going to be a little down this week. However, there's one Ford that I don't think is going to be down, and I'm going to tell you that here soon. All right, what's our next pick, Daryl?
Let's go with Kevin Harvick.
And he's the Ford I was talking about. Kevin Harvick is going to be great this weekend. I think he might win the race. He should have won this race. I know, should have, but he should have won this race last year.
He should
right?
have. Yes.
He had a penalty on pit road or something like that?
He had a speeding penalty on pit road, or was it a lug? It was some sort of late penalty on pit road where he had led 292 laps and ended up finishing ninth.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm swiping right on Kevin Harvick this week.
That's easy.
I think he's podium. I think he's top 3 for you.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for DraftKings' sake, I'm hoping he starts towards the back.
I do too, but I'm also hoping for NASCAR.com's sake that he starts near the front and leads a ton of laps and wins me a couple of stages.
Well, and you got to think about the pole winner too.
Yeah.
I mean, we both picked Alex Bowman to win the pole last week. That's an extra 5 bonus points.
I think Harvick can win the pole on Friday or later on.
I think he can too.
Yeah.
On Friday. Yeah. I mean, later on. We are
whatever day this is.
It is Friday.
I'm so
All right,
confused.
what's our next pick?
Let's try Eric Almirola.
Eric Almirola, almost wrote down 43, in the 10 car. I'm going to swipe no on Eric Almirola. He's had some success at this racetrack. It's been sporadic throughout his career. I'm going to hold off a little bit, see how he does on, the mile-and-a-half racetracks at Stewart-Haas Racing. I think he's going to be better than he was last year. But I'm still not willing to put my money on Eric Almirola. When we get to a plate track later on, I think maybe he could be a good pick, maybe a road course or a short track. But for a 1.5-mile racetrack like Atlanta, I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon. So I'm swiping no on the 10.
I think he's a wait and see. I think you see what they do at the first 1.5-mile racetrack and see if they're ready to start. Kevin Harvick, we know, is going to be good, and he has pretty much the same equipment as Eric Almirola, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, final pick.
Final pick, William Byron.
William Byron. I think he's going to have a lot of speed this year. I want to wait. He's another guy I kind of want to wait on, too.
Yep.
So you have Truex, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, you probably know are going to be pretty decent.
Yep.
William Byron has never been in a Cup car at a 1.5-mile racetrack. He struggled a little bit at Daytona, but, I mean, we've talked about that. It doesn't really matter.
He finished the race.
Yeah, I guess, after 5 or 6 spins.
Torn up, but he finished the race.
But, yes, let's wait and see on William Byron, but I do think he's going to have speed the next time we go to a 1.5-mile racetrack.
Yep.
So I'm going to swipe left on him this week. All right, let's play another segment we got here. Grind My Gears. Let's tee it up, Daryl.
He's spewing venom and spitting nails. Time now for everyone's favorite curmudgeon as Robbie Mays presents Grind My Gears.
Apparently, I'm now the old guy yelling at kids to get off my lawn.
All right, Robbie, what grinds your gears?
You know what really grinds my gears? People who are mad that Austin Dillon won the Daytona 500. I don't understand it. The driver who used to drive the 3 car spun people out, wrecked people to win races. I admitted Dale Earnhardt wrecked people to win races. And everybody lost their minds. Everybody was, this is awesome. 20 years later, Austin Dillon bumped somebody out of the way to win the Daytona 500. I would do the same thing. I'm not mad that he won the Daytona 500. Some people who were gotten on social media this week who are mad that he won the Daytona 500 the way he did, just get off of it, okay? He won the race, fair and square. It's over. We're done with it. We're moving on.
Okay,
and that's what really grinds my gears.
You've had enough. You've had enough. Stop.
This segment may not last March.
Jeez. That's better than your last grind my gears. I'll give you that one.
This is true.
At least this one actually mattered. All right.
Also, when I still can't find the droids that I'm looking for.
We'll talk to Winston Kelley next, the Executive Director of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. This is the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show, presented by Hercules Tires.
O'Reilly.
If you've been delaying that oil change, replacing those brake pads, or ignoring that check engine light, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and use your tax refund to take care of problems you've been putting off. Spend a little of your tax refund on your vehicle now and avoid costly repairs down the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
When the sun goes down, the NASCAR stars come out.
Green flag, 748.
The spring race weekend at Richmond Raceway, back under the lights. April 20th and 21st. The Toyota Care 250 on Friday, and Saturday night's Toyota Owners 400. Get your tickets at richmondraceway.com.
Red rear, guys. Red rear. Gonna be there. Bring that thing to the high. Second fly, baby.
NASCAR in Richmond. Some things are better under the lights.
The 1993 Cup Series season had more than its fair share of twists and turns.
Checkered flags waving. I look in my mirror, and here's Earnhardt right on my tail, and he goes down low to pass me. And I said, oh, no, you don't.
As Wallace spins, Wallace's car goes on its nose.
Here's stories that you've never heard before in a 10-part series called The 1993 Season, 25 years later.
And Davey was behind me, and we came off the corner, and there's a guy standing in the middle of the racetrack.
You can download it for free on iTunes and at MRN.com right now.
Welcome back to the Inside Line. Here are your hosts, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
Welcome back to the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show, our second show of the year, Robbie Mays. This is big. We're finally in the studio.
How do you like this thing? I mean, the team this offseason worked really hard on this studio, and it looks really good. Our fourth different version of this room. So
we're joined on the phone now by the Executive Director of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. He's also the lead pit reporter for the Motor Racing Network, and I'm sure he was super excited to see that the 3 car won the Daytona 500, and the 43 car finished second in the Daytona 500. Was that a little flashback to the past, Winston, or what?
It was. It's amazing, though, how long it's been since the 3 and the 43 ran 1-2, because if you think about it, Richard's heyday was before Earnhardt came in the 3 car. They overlapped a little bit. And the last time they finished 1-2 was at Bristol in 1987. When Earnhardt came in, he was racing against guys like Rusty and Darrell, et cetera, and Richard mostly against Pearson. They finished 1-2 like 63 times. But just seeing those two iconic numbers, 1-2 on the board, and one of the things that I tell folks all the time, I don't root for drivers. I root for great stories, people that hadn't won in a long time, and people that'll be excited to be in victory lane. And there was no doubt that Austin Dillon and Richard Childress and their teams were excited to be in victory lane, and also getting to see Bubba as I was walking back to the MRN trailer and give him a hug and congratulate him and have the king pick on me like he was doing Bubba. It was a good ending to a great speed week.
Yeah, it was.
I actually got to watch that conversation between you three heading back to the truck. Winston, Bubba Wallace surprised me last weekend. I thought he would be strong. I didn't think he was going to be that strong. And, second place was great in the Daytona 500, but he was still fast all weekend. Is he going to be a legitimate option for your fantasy team moving forward?
I think at certain tracks. I think it's still to be determined how he's going to do on the mile-and-a-half tracks. But if you look at his progress last year from the first race that he got in the car at Pocono, and he had some problems, had some speeding penalties on pit road, he went from 29th, I think, the next race, to something like 19th to 15th and finished 11th at Kentucky. So I think he can definitely be a definitive option, regardless of whether you're playing the new version of Yahoo, which I think is Racing Cheat Sheets or something like that, or NASCAR.com, as a value pick, if you will, that at certain tracks.
Yeah, and listen, that car finished 27th last year in Atlanta. So I think that's kind of where you have to look. You got to think that Bubba Wallace can finish better than 27th, I think. But I think if they're a top 15 car, maybe a top 20 car, that's probably where it's more realistic going to Atlanta, don't you think?
I think week in and week out, and you can look back and see where Bubba's run good in the past, and also you can see where RCR, where Richard Childress Racing has, because essentially they're an extension of Richard Childress Racing, being in a shop up there in Welcome, transitioning to Chevrolet, and with all the transitions that they've had, I think it's an absolutely phenomenal speed weeks. And they admit, Drew Blickensturver, Bubba, the King admit that one race does not make a season, but it sure puts a lot of pep in their step to be able to go into the second race knowing that they can be competitive.
Yeah, and it would be our first look at a mile-and-a-half racetrack with the new Chevy Camaro Z01. Of course, they tested, and a lot of the success coming out of, what was it, Vegas?
Yes.
They went Vegas test was that the Chevy was very fast. So we'll see if that can improve performance for the 43 car. How about the rest of your team? Who do you like this week going into Atlanta? It's pretty much a guessing game at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, just looking at the history, you don't have anybody that's been consistently up front over the past 5, 6, 7 years. Probably the most consistent is Kurt Busch. If you go back to 2010, his worst finish, a couple of 13ths. He's had a win. You've got Jimmy Johnson with a couple of wins, not last year, but in 15 and 16. But they kind of fell off the radar screen on those mile-and-a-halves. Martin Truex Jr., top 10 last year. He's got to be one that you're looking at any mile-and-a-half track, along with Kyle Larson. Also, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick have been good there. But conventional wisdom is saying that the Fords might not be as good on these mile-and-a-half tracks until they get their new car next year. But I don't know if that's going to play out that way. So this isn't as much of a crapshoot as a plate race, but it's pretty much up there with you could pick probably, a dozen to 15 drivers. And, if you're on the fence about allocations and how you might want to use drivers, this, like a plate race, might be one you want to say, hey, how about a Paul Menard, who you're not going to use every single week? So I think this might be an allocation race as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Winston, you've been playing the Yahoo game for years, so you're used to this allocation stuff. But for folks who are playing the NASCAR.com league, that's brand new this year. I know that everybody wants to pick Truex, everybody wants to pick Harvick, everybody wants to pick Larson, but, maybe walk us through. It's like, how do you make your allocation? Are you wanting to do this up front and, load the front end of the season, or do you want to, save these guys for the back half of the season going towards the playoffs?
Well, you've got different allocations in each one of the different formats. I was glad to see NASCAR.com to go to some form of an allocation because, being able to use somebody week in and week out, that takes a little bit of the strategy out of it. And the thing I always liked about Yahoo, which is now a very similar game, I think it's Racing Cheat Sheets, you've got 9 uses throughout the year. And some folks will pick somebody, if they get on a roll, they'll just ride him until, they run out of them. I tend, since they've got them in 3 different segments, I tend to, if somebody's really good, like a B driver in a Kyle Larson last year, or Truex Jr., you're generally going to have plenty of guys in the A group. It's the B and C where you've really got to monitor the allocations. I tend to like to have 3 in each one of the segments and be able to save some guys. And I had a really strong lineup the last couple of weeks, which enabled me to pick up some spaces. And while I certainly didn't win the league, I was able to beat a couple of guys that I had some side bets with by saving some folks, which worked out. In NASCAR.com, you got 10 uses during the regular season. So it's not quite as hard, but you still got guys, once they end up on a roll, you want to be careful with them. So I think I'm going to start out on NASCAR.com. I'm going to go with the guys that I think are going to be strong and be able to score as many points as possible. Didn't work out quite as well this past weekend because had Mr. Keselowski, who didn't score, but I think 5 points total, but he ran up front. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, Keselowski was one on my team as well, but of course I had a garage driver to switch him in for, which has been an interesting take on the NASCAR.com fantasy game this year. All right, Winston, we got to put you on the spot every time you come on here. Who wins at Atlanta this weekend?
Man, I hadn't gotten quite that far in my picks, but I'm going to say it's going to be between Kyle Larson and Martin Truex Jr. I'm going to go with Kyle Larson this weekend.
I think that's a great pick. I think that's going to be one of the favorites this weekend. Definitely. All right, man. Well, hope you guys have some fun out at the Hall. What do you got going on at the Hall of Fame here in the next couple of weeks?
Well, we're getting ready for, from a community standpoint, for our big Easter egg 400, which is later on this month. We just had our kickoff to the season with the Daytona 500. We've got a night at the museum coming up this Friday night, or this Saturday night, that we've got a big event going on. And then waiting on the nominees to be announced. NASCAR America will announce the nominees the week of March the 5th. So that's one of the next exciting things, the 20 nominees for the class of 2019.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, can't wait to get back down there, Winston. I got to give you guys props. The Hall of Fame ceremony last month, that was an amazing night. It's always fun to be a part of that night. Love being down there for that.
Well, we always love hosting the industry and the local folks, and when you're honoring 5 of the legends and icons in the history of NASCAR, you can't have a bad night. And Corey Pasaka and the team from NASCAR do a fantastic job with that, and looking forward to see who the 20 nominees already are for the class of 2019. Never stops, but that's why we love it.
Good stuff. Enjoy the weekend off. We'll talk to you next week. All right.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. You have a good week.
All right, that's Winston Kelley from the NASCAR Hall of Fame, executive director there, of course, our lead pit reporter. Thanks for him to coming on the show. We'll be back after this, more on the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice, Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
A new season is right around the corner, and NASCAR Today takes you along for the ride.
It won't be a huge change, but I'm looking forward to it. To be able to drive for Roger Penske on the Cup side has been something I've always wanted to do.
Nobody covers the sport like the Motor Racing Network, and NASCAR Today keeps you up front.
Go race and try to go for wins and keep developing our equipment and making sure our stuff's good for the kids that are coming up.
Get set for the green flag on the 2018 season with NASCAR Today, right here every weekday.
MRN's Throwback Thursday, the greatest races in NASCAR history.
Richard Petty comes to the outside of Benny Parsons, and ladies and gentlemen, it will be Richard Petty victorious in the STP Dodge.
Listen Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on MRN.com or the MRN app.
Dale Earnhardt has won the Daytona 500.
On demand in the MRN.com Media Center or on iTunes and Google Play.
Jeff Gordon wins the Southern 500 and the Winston Noble $5 million bonus.
Throwback Thursday on MRN.com.
Do you live your life up under a rock? Or are you Tyler Burnett?
Welcome back to the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show, presented by Hercules Tires.
Is that the right way? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm 1-0.
Wow.
Let's go.
All right. So for some reason, we allowed Tyler to win Under a Rock last week, so he has not let us forget that he is 1-0 on the 2018 season. That, my friend, is about to change.
Because you had to bring out the hard one this week.
This is a picture of an actor. I need the actor's name or a character that he has played. So Donald, Daryl, let's cue it up and let's play Under a Rock or Tyler.
What? I mean, it looks like someone from Star Trek, right?
He was on Star Trek, correct?
And it's not. It's not William Shatner, is it?
It's not William Shatner.
I have never seen that man in my life.
You know what his character's name was?
No, Spock.
No.
Spock.
What profession was he?
He was a pilot on the Battlestar Galactica.
No.
Who is that?
That's DeForest Kelley. He played.
His name was DeForest?
Yes, DeForest Kelley. Same spelling as Winston Kelley's last name, by the way. He was born in Georgia. We're going to Georgia this weekend, so therefore.
DeForest Kelley.
DeForest Kelley. He played Dr. Leonard
Divorced?
McCoy.
Like a divorce?
DeForest.
No one has ever heard of that person in their life.
I have.
What other movies was he on?
He was on Star Trek.
That was it? All right, let's play Rango. We don't have a chicken. Who's going to bring the chicken to us? Oh, man.
While we're waiting on Rango to show up,
Late
because he's still getting his baggage claim. There it is. Okay. All right. Well, we need to have better production meetings.
He beat me last week, by the way.
He beat me last week, too. All right. Rango's picks for Atlanta: Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr. His garage driver is Jimmy Johnson. I don't like that. Pole winner, Chase Elliott. Stage winners for 1 and 2 are Kevin Harvick. His race winner is Kevin Harvick, and his manufacturer is Ford Motor Company.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some good picks. Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Logano, Harvick, Truex. Yeah, I like it. All right, who's your pick to win?
Ryan Blaney.
That's a random pick.
Ryan Blaney.
Why?
I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be strong. I think he's mad because he lost last week, so I think he's going to come loaded for bear at Atlanta.
You think the Ford's going to be good enough?
I think that Ford will be good enough.
Well, okay, so Rango picked Kevin Harvick.
Yes. Winston picked Larson.
I like him.
I picked Blaney.
I'll pick Kyle Busch.
Okay.
What, he won and got hit by a rock?
Yes.
Kyle Busch, 2013 he won this race.
And 2008 also.
Yeah, I like Kyle Busch.
Yes.
All right, what do we got going on this week?
Well, it's right there on the piece of paper if you want to read it.
No, but what about on MRN.com? I'll read this here in a second.
Lots of fun stuff at MRN.com. Still, if you've not checked out the new MRN.com, it's going to be hard because you're probably watching it on MRN.com right now. But a lot of fun stuff. The new website launch has been successful, and we're really excited about everything we're going to do with the new website. Also,
a new podcast series on MRN.com.
Yes.
You need to listen to it. Rich Colbert comes on our show all the time.
Yes.
He's put a lot of hard work into it. It's called the 1993 season, 25 years later.
Yes.
You need to watch it. All right, tomorrow, the trucks. 4 p.m. Eastern at Atlanta. We'll have coverage from there. Xfinity Cup Series coverage on PRN. Next week, where are we going?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas,
Sin
baby.
City.
Sin City.
Start of the West Coast
We'll
swing.
make your picks for you next week on the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show. We'll talk to you then. Presented by